Growing up, I had a very modestly sized gaming collection, and within that small collection, there were no systems that required memory cards. I had an Xbox and an Xbox 360, which both had hard drives. I had a Nintendo 64, which only had that little red thing that you could plug in, and that was it. I mean, yeah, I did also have a PS2, but I had it for such a short time that I really wouldn't count it. I also had a Wii, which its memory would be extended through an SD card, but as a kid, I definitely didn't know that. But as we all know, the Wii was able to play more than just Wii games, as it was backwards compatible with the GameCube. Now at first, I either didn't think I needed a memory card, or was just really impatient, because I do have memories of trying to play, well, games without one, and trying to keep the console on so I wouldn't lose all my progress. But that all came to a head when playing Creature from the Krusty Krab, and in the Plankton level, his, eye laser glitched out at a point where I needed to use it, like the bar for him needing to shoot it wouldn't recharge all the way, so I was just stuck, and I had nothing I could do. I was forced to reset the game, or I think I just said screw it, and the next day I just wanted to get a memory card. So I asked my mom if she could buy one for me, and she said yes. And well, she got me one, but since I wasn't with her when she bought it, and according to her it was the last one left, she had gotten me a pink one, which my child self, of course, did not like at all, but at the same time I was just happy to have a memory card. And looking back on the situation, I'm grateful that she didn't buy the wrong one, like a PS2 one, and delay this even farther. So yeah, now I was finally able to start saving my GameCube games, and that's kinda just how it was for the longest time. But eventually the Wii's GameCube memory card slot started to wear as it would stop recognizing the card itself. And because of this, I had to start bending the card a little for the system to recognize it. And for the most part, this worked out fine. Every time the system didn't register the memory card, I would just fidget with it until it did. Now, although this did work out, the system itself was still either reading no card at all or a damaged card, and because of the latter is what led to the incident in question. One day while playing Super Smash Bros. Melee, the game tried to save itself but couldn't, so I did what I always did and moved the memory card around to get the system to acknowledge it. I was successful as it did, but it recognized it as damaged, so it asked me to format its memory in order to fix it. Now, although I wasn't very tech savvy as a kid, or even now honestly, but I do know now what the words format system memory mean and just how destructive they could be to the unsuspecting mind. But that's now. As for back when I was a kid, I guess I just thought that this would be the solution to my memory card problems. So I said yes to the memory format, and that was that. And at first, nothing seemed off, and I had just continued playing Melee with no issues. But of course, that wasn't too long, as I would eventually find out just what I had done. Now, I'll be honest and say that I don't exactly remember how I had figured out all my save data was lost, but I want to say that it was me trying to play Thousand Year Door and not finding any save files present, and I believe that after this I had went onto the Wii's memory board to see the entire card just about completely empty. All my save files from 8 of my 9 GameCube games were gone, the only survivor being Melee's data, since that game literally saves every time you go into a different menu, which I'm still very happy about to this day since it was the most valuable and the longest to get data out of all of them. But yeah, as for everything else that I had lost include my Super Mario Sunshine save that had, I believe, 112 shines in it, and I can't even properly rectify this one since my copy of Sunshine doesn't work 100% anymore. The original file that I had used in my 2009 walkthrough of the Thousand Year Door, which would go on to become my highest leveled profile that I ever had on the game. This one really sucked losing. All 3 save files within Luigi's Mansion, including the one that I used during my 2009 playthrough of it, this one didn't really matter to me since the game is so short that I'd end up filling them up again. A 100% file of Mario Kart Double Dash, which is something I never want to do again and have currently not managed to do so again because screw the All-Star Cups. And then we have the slew of licensed games that I had either beaten or had 100% files in, which are SpongeBob SquarePants Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, SpongeBob SquarePants Creature from the Krusty Krab, Ed and Eddie The Misadventures, and The Fairly Odd Parents Break into a rules, all of which were easy to get back to where they belong. But I guess looking back on this situation, for the most part, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, as I dodged a bullet with melee, and more than half the games I did lose the data in weren't that hard to get back. And thus ends my tale of ignorance. But still, the question remains, why did I tell you this story? I guess one reason is because of how memory cards were an outdated concept by the time of the 7th generation, or when I was growing up, since they were barely utilized and were instead being replaced by hard drives, which could hold much more space and were usually internal, so they basically couldn't be corrupted. But I suppose the main reason is just because of how in the world of today, with the cloud and just in general better hardware, the idea of corrupted or losing saves is just a thing of the past. A child can't unknowingly walk themselves right into their own destruction anymore like I did.